I'm Chad Ruthermans.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And welcome to NOCLIP Pocket. Be heard. Today, we're going to be talking about Audiosurf, a game that was developed by Dylan Fitterer, published by Audiosurf LLC, and was released in 2008 on Windows and Zune HD.
But first, if you can give us a like or a rating, it would be greatly appreciated.
So, Audiosurf is a Winamp visualizer that you can play, and is the only game in history to have an exclusively ska punk soundtrack.
So this game is a game that turns accesses your music library and generates a level that's like a kind of a loose rhythm game that's like set to the song. And for 2008, I thought it was like the most novel thing at the time. You showed it to me at a LAN party, and I think I played it for like literally 5 hours straight.
Yeah, it was a long night of just playing Audiosurf. Yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing about Audiosurf. Realistically, like the thing that you will know the game for is that it procedurally generates its stages based on songs that you choose from your library. And this poses some problems with the game when you look back on it as like a quality thing, but I think that the thing really about it that is the novelty and what is the selling point is that it's just like a very active way to engage with music in a way that I do really like. I'm a big rhythm games fan, but historically my favorite rhythm games have always been the plastic peripheral type of rhythm game, whereas this game is a more accessible kind of rhythm game, and because all of the tracks aren't authored, it's got like there's a huge amount of stuff that you can make the game do that it may or may not want to do.
Yeah, like in the like related tab on Steam, at least for me, it said games similar to Audiosurf, Sayonara Wild Hearts, and it is a little similar in that you're kind of like just going on a track and moving between lanes. And I think we said similar things on that episode. It doesn't really like feel like a rhythm game in the traditional sense. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more like I don't really know how to describe it. Like just as a general, just like music game. Like you don't really need to like know or like anticipate the rhythm and be able to like accurately perform it in some way to play it like you would with like a Guitar Hero or something of that nature.
Yeah, that is just exactly correct. Like the thing about Audiosurf that I think both is part of its success and its failure as a game is that thing. You don't have to be perfectly on rhythm to play it. You can play it like any kind of action game. Because it's almost a little bit more like a bullet hell. Like you have to like dodge stuff and only hit the things that you want. Yeah, and we'll get into the cognitive load that this game can require of you in a little second bit. But it is like it's very playable by people even who are not apt at like the rhythmic elements of rhythm games. But then also it has the appeal of a rhythm game to some extent because it is like it's a game that's very focused on music. It literally does not exist without music. So and I also want to mention, at least in the year of our Lord 2022, Audiosurf is it is positioned in a really different place than it was when it came out. Both technologically, in that the game struggles a bit on modern hardware because it just hasn't really been updated much in the last decade since it came out. But then also with the advent of things like streaming services and YouTube music, not everybody just has a million MP3s laying around. I had to get music from you, which is just music that has survived since the days when everybody had MP3s.
Yeah.
Where mine had not survived.
Yeah, I'm one of the only people I know that still has all their old music. for one reason or another.
I think it's just diligence.
Yeah, like I think because I got a MacBook in like 2010 and was able to just like sync my phone to it.
Yeah.
And I've just been able to keep it all ever since. Yeah, so but yeah, I know Audiosurf 2, that's one of like the big advantages of it is that it can just use YouTube and you can access any song through YouTube. But from what I've read, gameplay wise, people like it less apparently. So I guess pros and cons. I can't really speak to that myself. But yeah, like I went through and just like grabbed a bunch of MP3s I knew that was music we both like. About I think it was like about 1,000 songs, and then like but a bunch of them like came in with like underscores in front of them and just didn't work, which caused us a lot of confusion when trying to play it, because those just would give you like a playback error for some reason.
Yeah, I found there was a lot of troubleshooting that had to be done before we could actually play the game, and there were a couple of like key elements that I found, and then others that I still haven't been able to figure out. I know that some of the songs that got included is a unique Mac thing when you copy songs or copy files at all from a Mac to a Windows PC. It generates these like, I don't know, I call them like receipt files. They're like little, I think they're for indexing in Mac OS, but they don't exist in Windows, so they're just these hidden files that sit in any drive that you've put things on.
Weird.
And those were there and selectable because Audiosurf can see them.
Okay, so that's what that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there were other issues that like people have had to do with the playback. I know like QuickTime isn't really a thing people have anymore or is supported, but you need it to play M4A files, so those were all gone. It was a real interesting like just technical issues smorgasbord in a way that you don't see with a lot of games.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was the problem. When I initially tried to play it, it just opened. It's like it had like the icon on the taskbar, and if you like moused over it, it would like show a little window, but it was just blank white. And if you clicked on it, it didn't do anything. Like it was frozen.
Good.
So it said that it was running, like in the task manager, but like I couldn't access it. I guess I don't know if it was or not. But it seemed to be that when I unhooked my laptop from my TV, so if you're using a second monitor, it might cause problems. So try launching it on just one first and then reconnecting the second monitor. It seemed to work.
Yeah, this is like a whole thing. And like, it's weird because
It's almost like the game came out in 2008.
But we've gone back to other games and like, and honestly did have similar, not necessarily the same kind of technical problems, but this being an indie game at the time, and also the fact that it is something that accesses your computer's file system.
That's the big one, I think.
Yeah, really put a lot of strain on the current hardware.
Yeah,
to be like, does this still work?
Like the recommended specs are like a PC with Windows XP or Vista.
And like a lot of people would think at least, Windows XP or Vista or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Incorrect. One of those two is ideal. I played this game originally on an XP machine.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Audiosurf the video game.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think is interesting about Audiosurf, the game, part of it is that you, more so than anything else in maybe all of the world, your taste in music can make this game harder or easier depending on what you like to listen to, which I found very interesting, because we have a taste, like the taste that we have that overlap, tend toward like punk rock and ska.
Yeah, like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtrack.
Yeah, if you think about the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, that's just us all the time. We live in a perpetual 1990s. And all of those songs are really fast. And so the Audiosurf experience, especially on the higher difficulty levels, is like a blur. Everything is so quick and will just fly at you at incredible speed. Which makes it really difficult to use some of the like more intense characters. I want to talk about that, but for now we'll just say characters.
Like modes.
Yeah. And so, like, when you drop back and play, like, a mid-tempo or a lower-tempo song, it does feel, like, a lot more manageable. And I don't think that I ever picked up on that when I played this game originally. I was just like, why is Audiosurf so difficult to wrap your head around? And it's because I was listening to, like, Agnostic Front when I was 16, you know? Like, so it was just, like, these minute-and-a-half long songs at 300 beats per minute. And I was like, this game's hard. It's like, no, you're an idiot.
Yeah, it's something that it just sounds really, like, intuitive and straightforward when you say it, you know, like, obvious. But I never really thought about it much either. Because, like, I think I played maybe 2 songs that were slow and not really fast.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, there's certain modes that are, like, really hard. You're like, how are you supposed to keep track of all this stuff? And it's because especially me, like, I have, like, a kind of, like, a very specific taste in music and don't like much outside of it that much. So most of the music I like is, like, really energetic and fast.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh my god, Audiosurf is so fucking difficult.
It's the hardest game ever made.
How are you supposed to play on whatever, eraser, pointer, whatever, the double mode?
Yeah. Which I think that's a good thing to get into. My first thing, and this is kind of a dumb note that I just want to make and see what you think about it. I love this game sort of as a time capsule because in 2008 this game is essentially software to an extent. Like, it's a thing that generates a track based on your songs. It scans the track, gets like the general tempo and stuff, and you can see it adjusting sort of in the middle, and then populates a bunch of colored squares on beats for you to pick up. But it needed to have, like, it made all of the modes people, like, things that had, like, a face and a generally humanoid look.
Yeah, little characters.
And I love that. Like, I love that a lot in the way that, like, Frequency kind of did a similar thing where even though it was just a rhythm game where you press 3 buttons, you created a freak who was, like, a character, like a creative character, and had a weird plot about, like, a space invasion or something. And it's totally unnecessary, and nowadays they wouldn't do it at all. But the artifice that surrounds it, even if it is really minimal, I kind of love. It feels kishy a bit, like, and a little bit old-timey, and I love that.
No, yeah, that's my jam. Like, I think games should always do stuff like that, as long as it doesn't, like, take away from, like, the core game at all, like, take too much time and money or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, like, it's just a lot more interesting when you add, like, character to a thing, you know, rather than it just being, like, a super abstract whatever. There's very few things like something like Tetris where the gameplay is just that easy to, like, get hooked into real hard that, like, adding stuff isn't necessary. Or not that it isn't beneficial.
Right.
If you tried to add characters to Tetris, it wouldn't add anything. But then if you take something like Pac-Man, you know, like, the addition of, like, little characters and the ghosts have, I think, given it a lot more, like, pop cultural, like, staying power as a game. Yeah,
and like, people remember Tetris, but they don't. I feel like there's a different reaction to a character versus a concept, you know? Like, you've put a face to something. I don't necessarily think that Audiosurf really falls into that exact category, but it does, to me anyway.
You only see him on the menu, yeah.
Yeah, it adds to it, though, and I like that.
Yeah, it's like, and another visual thing is, like, the UI, like, the menus when you're in between songs, like, they're so Windows XP, like, just, like, weird, like, old, like not Web 1.0, but, like, you know, somewhere little middle ground in there where they look, like, very, like, homebrewed in much less, like, aesthetically pleasing than they do now.
Yeah, they have, like, a real like they have different windows essentially that make up all the different parts of the menu. And my personal favorite thing about it is the tutorial menus that come up and also have a checkbox that says like don't show me the tutorials anymore is like you're installing 7-zip or something. Like don't install unnecessary things, whatever, like the little checkbox that you have to mark. But my favorite touch about it though is whenever you go to the leaderboard screen, there's just like the thinnest little red arrow that points to where you would be on the leaderboard if you logged in.
Oh, yeah.
And it just cracks me up every time that I see it, because it's just this like little tiny arrow.
I actually did make an account and was logged in while I was playing, so...
So you just got put on the leaderboard?
Yeah.
You didn't get to see the MS Paint arrow?
I sure didn't.
I love that.
But it was funny, though, because, like... Well, because, like, any song that you played that was out when this game came out, there will be the leaderboard, and you mouse over them, and it'll be like, record set 14 years ago. Yeah, like, unless it's a newer song, all of them are set, like, 14, 15 years ago.
And are, like, unbeatable. Potentially. I know this was a big thing on the Xbox 360, and I don't know how much, and I'm sure that it was a problem on PC as well.
People would cheat.
Yeah, and I don't know how much that would bleed into Audiosurf necessarily, but it's a high-score game, so it's possible. I don't want to say that I'm saying that the people who beat me on the leaderboards were cheating. But I think that some of them may have been cheating.
Yeah, like, just because the game is so old, I have the top score in a couple of songs now, just because no one's ever played them before.
Hell yeah.
I think We All Become from the Transistor soundtrack is one that I'm the world record holder, if you want to go break it.
Yep, go fucking slay that record. Yeah, I didn't actually post anything to the leaderboard, though. I did, like, glance at some of the leaderboards, and I did see, like, a couple names repeating, which like, there's a guy out there who spent some time on Audiosurf just going and playing some old Sponge tracks, and, like, I like the cut of your jib guy. And so it was fun to kind of see, because I haven't engaged with a leaderboard. I mean, debatably ever, but at the very least not since Rock Band 3. There's never been a game that I was like, oh, I gotta get up. I gotta be like a world famous gamer.
Yeah, I'm not a competitive person, really, like, almost at all. So I've never really engaged with the leaderboard. So I just found it amusing that I could be number one in a song just because it's a newer one.
Yeah, and it's amusing to go back and actually look at a leaderboard now. And it's just a fun thing.
Especially one that hasn't really updated in so long.
In a decade, yeah. Or more. So you're talking about playing Audiosurf?
Yeah, we can do that now.
So as far as I'm concerned, there are 2 Audiosurf games inside of Audiosurf 1. And it is all of the characters and then just mono. Those are the 2 characters in the game. Everybody, and then the other one. And I think it's such a stark difference in how you play and how everything happens that I do feel like it needs to be talked about separately. I prefer mono.
I do too.
I think most people probably do in the long run, because it's just... I mean, I can tell you exactly why I prefer mono, and it's because it's the one that is closest to a regular rhythm game, where you just have obvious goals, and your goal is to do it perfectly. And every other character, there's a lot of freestyling that you can do to, like, amp your score up and whatever. But on mono, it's just hit all the colored ones, don't hit any of the gray ones. The end. And if you do that perfectly, you've gotten the best score you can on that level. And that appeals to me as somebody who likes rhythm games for that, like, repetition and perfection aspect of them.
Yeah, I think I also, I mean, I agree with that, but, like, another appeal to it for me is that, like, you said it up top. It's like a Winamp visualizer, or like I think I had like Windows Media Maker or Media Player did like the similar thing. It's like it gives you like a visualized representation through like just like a color spectrum or whatever of the song that you're playing. And mono is the easiest one to just kind of like put on and just kind of like veg out to the song.
Yeah.
To just like, it's the one, like, one of the big things, like, especially returning to this, that I liked about playing it on mono specifically is like, when I was younger, I used to just be able to put on music and then just like lay on my bed and do nothing but listen to the music. And I used to really like to do that. And it's something I can't do anymore. Even if I wanted to try, I don't really have the time for it. So like, I think that this is like nostalgic almost, because like I'm able to just like play the song and it feels like more engaging to my brain, like music was when I was younger. I think, I don't know.
No, I entirely agree with that.
So, because like, there's a lot of songs that I really like that I have listened to death and don't really like to listen to much anymore, and I could play them in Audiosurf, and it kind of like brings back that enjoyment of it.
Yeah, I always felt kind of a similar way about the Guitar Hero games, like less so because they demand a little bit more of your attention than Audiosurf on mono does, because you do. I don't know, just there's a lot more stuff going on. It requires a lot more dexterity from both hands. But Audiosurf gives that same sort of like active listening experience that you don't get when you just put on headphones. And most of the time, and I would be surprised if somebody out there said that this is not ever how it is. To me, it's like you never listen to music by itself anymore. There's a part of the reason why I got like a turntable and started like collecting vinyl is because it is like it's a tactile thing to do while listening to music. So you have this like you can actually take the time to think about the music when you're like putting the record on and stuff. But then also with that, once you put it on, then you go sit and you're like, what do I do to occupy myself?
It makes it feel like more of like a classy or like more of an event thing. Like I'm going to put on a record.
Yeah. I'm going to put on Audiosurf.
Yeah, it makes it feel more special.
Yeah. I think we just live in a high octane, high anxiety time.
Yeah, too many things vying for our attention.
Yeah, that you can't just like sit down and listen to an album. So I only like listen to music when I'm playing Audiosurf or when I'm in the car, you know, like it's rare that I'll put it on otherwise. And it just feels weird. This is we're now in old people territory here, but
well, I mean, this is a old people game.
It is, yeah. This is 60 years from now, kids will be like, all you old folks listening to music on Audiosurf. And we've got our holodeck 6000s. Anyway, then there's the other characters.
Yes.
This is where Audiosurf actually is the hardest game ever made. The way that this works, and like, I see how the idea came about, because it is like a match 3 game, like a match 3 puzzle game, where the music is the descending blocks, and so you kind of have to hit the blocks that you want on your board. But you're looking at this like 3x9 maybe grid.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's like a big grid that you pick blocks up and they fall on.
Yeah, and the different blocks just like fill out the grid.
Yeah. And then you have the colors of each block, of which I think there's like 7. You've got like your black and white blocks, and then blue, purple, yellow, green, red, I think, are all the other ones. And so you have all of these colors, and what the game wants you to do is make an informed decision for the hundreds of blocks on the track in a 3-minute song to hit only the ones that you want in the grid in that location to make groupings, like as many as you can of a single color, similar to how like Tetris Attacks works. And it's really, really, really hard to do that. and then they add additional mechanics on top of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
It's just like we said earlier, like if you listen to a fast song, it's like impossible. I think if you picked a bunch of songs and made your own difficulty curve, like you picked like these are some really slow songs I'm gonna put in there, then some medium, and like you broke it down and like scaled up, you could probably do it, but that would take a lot of effort. Or I guess if you just play this game for like 1,000 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is so difficult. Like I could play like there's like casual, medium, and hard. Like it's elite, pro, and something else.
Yeah, elite, pro, casual.
Yeah, and casual. So the middle, like the regular normal difficulty is pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I could play like eraser and pointer on those by like what my strategy for it was like just pick up blue and purple blocks because that's the most of them.
Yeah.
And then in like the intense parts, as it says, when red ones show up, go for those. That was basically my strategy, and I could get through songs pretty well on that, but I was not engaging with their specific mechanics of erasing and shuffling and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the only one that like I could play well is mono, and I could play that one on elite difficulty.
Right.
But it did get pretty hard on certain songs. The hardest song I think I played was My Girlfriend's on Drugs by Big D and the Kids Table, which gets pretty intense in spots and is like pretty wild. Trying to dodge all the gray blocks on that one.
Yeah, in case you thought we were lying about this game having an exclusively ska punk soundtrack, I think the hardest song that I played during the time that I spent with it was Trapped in a Box by No Doubt. And it's just these songs that have like a really jaunty, high tempo sort of thing to that makes it just so fucking hard to avoid everything. And it's weird because like I was able to, because the game doesn't have a fail state, technically speaking. It's all just what your score is at the end of the song. So if you die, quote unquote, like the grid fills.
Yeah, you just have to respawn.
Yeah, which just takes some time. In casual mode, you don't even have to do that. It just like respawns instantly, but you lose points. But yeah, it's just like, it's discouraging though. Like when you look at it and you go, I can't figure out what I'm supposed to be doing at all with this. And I'm sure there are people out there who can. Yeah. Like there's a breed of people who is just capable of this kind of stuff. But it ain't me. And I found Eraser to be the easiest one of the non-mono to play on Elite. Yeah. Because it just had the ability to like just suck some stuff up and remove it from the queue, so you were able to more like comfortably think about stuff. But it's so much to keep in mind at one time. Like, 'cause you have to think like, because the rhythm, while it doesn't function like it does in a Guitar Hero game where you have to be hitting things on beat, the beat does tell you when you're going to be picking up the blocks, and sometimes they're so clustered together that actually is helpful. Mm-hmm. So you just sort of have to think about the song. And also, you pick the song, you want to be thinking about the song because you like it. You said, I like this song, let's do it. So that's one element of it. But then you also have to think about the colors on the track, what's coming up, and how you're going to make matches inside of the grid, and then also whatever weird superpower your character has. And it is just like a nightmare. It's so hard to keep in mind.
Yeah, like I think for the average person, like jumping in with songs as fast as we were playing, like it's impossible. Yeah, to make matches. Like 40 blocks will go by and you will have like not noticed anything that's happened in the grid. Like, you know, like you'll be like I said, I don't know if you relate to it at all. Like I was kind of just focusing on like to pick two colors and just go for those and avoid the others. And most of the time that will result in you making matches and not overflowing. Yeah. But you will fuck it up. And like there will be times where you're just like going through like a particularly dense part, and it's just like you're like trying to like concentrate on like not hitting the like the yellow blocks or whichever ones you're not trying to hit, and it'll just be like like you've refilled and you didn't even notice.
Yep.
Or overflowed. It's just very difficult with fast songs.
And that's the other thing, is like, because it's all of these notes coming at you at once and a grid, if you stop paying attention to one of them, the other one suffers. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the grid is helping you make informed decisions. You ain't looking at the grid. Because if you're looking at the grid, then you aren't looking at what's on the track, and then you're fucking up the grid by picking up other things that are ruining your score. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a very strange experience to play, because it is like simultaneously something that's really easy to jump into and impossibly difficult to understand, like at a what I would consider like a competent level. Mm-hmm. So that's why mono is great.
Yeah, it is easy to parse.
Yeah, I also kind of like playing. This is a weird thing. I kind of like playing Double Vision, the one where you have two cars, on casual, because you can just pick up every block, and it won't matter, and so it feels more like a traditional rhythm game where you hit all the notes, so you can kind of try and just get everything, and like occasionally you'll overflow. Oopsie. But who cares? Like, you're playing some shit-ass song from 30 years ago on Audiosurf on baby difficulty. So like, you don't care what your score is. So I did find that to be a little bit fun.
Yeah, but I can't say that I tried that. I played Double Vision on Pro difficulty once, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I actually think that's probably the step. Like, there's a secret hidden difficulty, which is casual, and then in between casual and pro is pro Double Vision, but actually with two people, because then it become manageable.
It did say that when you pick it, like for its tutorial, it was like you could play as one person or grab a friend. Yeah, because you control one side with the mouse and the other side with the keys.
Yeah, so it becomes like when two people, because what it does is actually halves or
the board.
Yeah, it splits it. I think it becomes a 6 row.
I think that sounds right. Or maybe it's 4, I
forget. And so it actually lessens the cognitive load on each player, but you do have to kind of work together for those middle 2 rows. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, like, it's pretty good for that, if you did it. We didn't. Let us know.
Yeah. If only we added more slow songs to the list. And maybe tried playing it together.
Yeah.
But alas.
I don't know. I played a few slow songs.
Yeah, like I did a couple, but I probably played them all on mono. Yeah. It didn't really test out the other difficulties.
I found that they were still fairly overwhelming, at least on the harder difficulties. Mm-hmm. Do we have
frequency?
Falling block thoughts?
My falling block thoughts are... God, I feel like I've already laid out all my final thoughts. I guess I'll just recap them here.
In summation.
Yeah, in summation. As I said earlier, you showed me this game in 2008, probably, at a LAN party in high school, and I, like, fucking loved it at the time. It was so novel. Like, it sounds like an idea you would have. Like, oh, like, why doesn't someone make a rhythm game that can just use your MP3s for the music in the game? But, like, that wouldn't actually exist. Like, it would just be a hypothetical. But this actually does exist, which was super cool at the time and is still cool today. And it made such an impression on me that we are here talking about it now. Like I was just always like, oh, fuck yeah, Audiosurf. And I never really had a computer, like a PC, to play games on until like a couple years ago. So I never revisited it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like has this like nostalgic sheen in my mind. Coming back to it today, yeah, it was made in 2008. It hasn't really been updated or supported in a way that makes it easy to play now. But I still enjoyed it. Like, as I said, like, it is like playing a Winamp visualizer. Like, it has a lot of that appeal of just seeing, like, at least it as it did in the late 90s, of just, like, seeing a song visually represented in a cool rainbow style. And yeah, you can just kind of put it on and play like a simple rhythm game to it, or a very complicated one. And there is just a lot of appeal in that. And if you don't really like, if you kind of fallen a little out of love with music, or like you can't enjoy it in the way you used to when you were like a teenager, like this is something that can like help kind of recapture that feeling. And that's its biggest appeal to me now. Maybe I'll jump into this and play a song every now and then. I'm going to have some more free time back in my life shortly, so maybe I'll actually play this a little bit more, but who knows?
Yeah, I think that's pretty correct. What are we talking about next time? There's an element of Audiosurf, I think, that is still alive today, and that is that there isn't quite anything that is like it because of the time it came out. I believe, to the best of my understanding, that there are other games that use your music in order to create a track. Not to mention the fact that there's a whole burgeoning community of people who track rhythm games like Clone Hero or Friday Night Funkin'.
No, like Beat Saber.
And like Beat Saber and stuff as like a hobby, to the point where now it's difficult to find a song that isn't represented. Or at least enough of them that you could play forever without ever getting bored. But Audiosurf just directly uses songs. You could go to your basement with a couple friends and record a song and then go play it on Audiosurf. Like,
and we did that.
And we did do that.
But with 15 years in between.
Yeah. But that is part of the appeal of it. It is infinitely customizable. It's funny to like put in a song that's like 25 minutes long and just do an endurance run. Like, there's a lot of elements of it that hark back to that sort of like old computing days where you have a tool that serves a purpose and is good, and then you find the limits of it. It was fun to mess around back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I think Audiosurf feels like a messing around kind of rhythm game. Thank you for listening to NOCLIP Pocket this week.
What are we talking about next time?
Next time, we're going to be rounding out the genre that we've covered every game in, probably, and playing new Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo Switch. You know what it is. I know what it is. We all know what it is. So just show up. You know you want to.
Snap that like button.
Snap that Xerneas. It's not how the podcast does. Until that time, you can get a hold of us. All of our contact information is on our website at noclippodcast.com or on splattershot.pro. There you can find links to our Twitter account, our email address, the YouTube channel, and all of our old episodes, including episodes on Sayonara Wild Hearts, which Steam insists is similar to this game. Mm-hmm. And Persona 5. It's got a good soundtrack. I played a Persona 5 song in Audiosurf.
Yeah, a Guitar Hero Rock Band episode.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yep.
That and Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Go check them out.
They're great episodes. Have a listen. All right.
Surf that comment section.
Ring that bell.
And create some beautiful music.
And then play it in Audiosurf. Goodbye.
Goodbye. We have a first here in the released on category.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
No way, it's a first. Was it released on, like, those toothbrushes that play songs or something?
No, you'll see. Something less useful than that.